you all for joining our webinar today. We're going to talk about how to set up your account and getting started on Protocols.io. My name is Anita, and I'm the head of outreach here at Protocols.io, and I'm going to walk you through this webinar today. And so the agenda for today is, first we're going to look into how to set up your account, and then I'm going to show you how you can search for existing protocols on the platform, so you can find things that might be relevant for your own research. Then I'm going to show you some of the functionalities on protocols, and then quickly I'm going to just show you how you can create your own protocols and how you can share them with others or publish them. And then I'm going to show you how you can keep your files organized in our file manager. And then in the end, we have some time for questions if you guys have any questions. And so before we get started, really quick, so if you have any questions, I would ask you to just type them out in this little chat window. I think you should all see the chat window here on Zoom. And then in the very end of the webinar, we'll have time to go through them. And I would kindly ask you to, if you're not speaking, in the end we can open up for you to speak too, but if you can mute yourself, so if you see on the very left, there's a microphone icon, so if you can just click mute, because we're going to record this webinar, so that way we can ensure the audio quality is better for if you want to watch it later again. Okay, so if you set up your account, you see you will have the option to add a lot of details to your profile. So for example, you can put your location, you can put an affiliation, and then also an important thing is you should add your research interests. So this is really important for others to be able to find you. So for example, if you're doing tissue clearing, you can put tissue clearing, and then if somebody comes to the website and they're searching for tissue clearing, they will be able to easily find you. So I really recommend to put a lot of detail in your research interest. And also, if you like, you can put your bio. This also is very good for others to just see what you're working on, and maybe it opens potential opportunities for collaboration or other things. So it's really useful to put a lot of detail here, because then other people can see what you're doing. And then once you're done, you just save. And then you have your profile, so your profile is ready. And then to just check how far you are with setting up your account, we have this little a circle on the top here. It shows you all the information you put so far. So for example, the basic information, and then if you put your profile pictures so others can recognize you and things like that. And then also, if you'd like, you can connect your Protocols.io profile with your ORCID ID. That way so if you publish a protocol on Protocols.io, it will also be linked in your ORCID ID automatically. And so once you're done setting up your account, you can start looking for protocols that might be relevant for you and your research. And you can do so by just typing keywords in the search window up here. And so if you're, for example, looking for some fungi, you can just type fungi, and then you will receive all the publications on that keyword. And then you can select whichever looks interesting for you. For example, here I'm going to select this one. And then you get to the protocol page itself. And so this is the protocol, and this is how a protocol looks like. And one thing to note here is that this is not a static PDF, but it's a rather very interactive and dynamic protocol. So there's a lot of things going on. You can see there's different versions, and on the right-hand side, there's comments, and you can bookmark a protocol, or there's something called run. You can copy and fork a protocol, or you can export it if you'd like to print it, and you can add it to your groups if you have any groups on Protocols.io. And so also there's a very detailed step-by-step description. So if you see on the bottom where it says, where's the first section, it's step 1, step 2, step 3. So it's very detailed, and that makes the protocol runnable, which I'll show in a second. So the reason why we do versions, if you wonder what a version is, here, for example, in step 24, it says air try palette for 2 to 2 minutes, and then there's a 7-minute timer. And then somebody was using this protocol, and they were wondering what does it mean? So they asked the author, what do you mean by 2 to 2 minutes? Timer says 7 minutes. Did you mean 2 to 7 minutes? And then the author was able to just reply and said, oops, looks like that's a typo, should be 2 to 3 minutes. And then with just a couple of clicks, the author could create a new version where that is fixed, and now the timer says 2 minutes. So it's really easy to just keep your protocol up to date always, so that if there's any typos you need to fix, or if there's any changes that you made over the years that just improved your protocol, you can always create a new version. And then if you publish a new version, always the people who use your protocols, they will be guided to the newest version, but they still have the ability to compare different versions with each other. So if somebody was wondering what is actually the difference between version 2 and version 3, or version 1 and version 4, they can go into this comparing mode, which you can select what you want to compare with each other. And always the differences will be highlighted. So you can see exactly what's different and what changed. And so that way you always have the ability to see what happened. And the same, if you, for example, create a fork of a protocol, you can also, public forks, you can compare with the original and different versions. So that's also a thing you can do with this functionality. And so if you want to run your protocol, you can do that by clicking this run button, or we also have free Android and iOS apps, which allow you to run the protocol as you're doing the experiment on the bench. So you just click run, and this brings you to this kind of like the run mode. And so this is the experiment mode. So any changes you make here will only be changed for this specific experiment. It will not be changed for the protocol itself. So if you, for example, if you say this was run, you can call it whatever you want, or you can put a date or something. And then you just click, like you check off the steps as you do them. And if there's something you do different on that specific day, you can make changes right here. Or if there's like a note you want to add to a step, if there's something special you noticed, you can just add it here. And then it will be saved. And then everything you do here gets a timestamp. So later when you're done with the experiment, you can click Save Experiment, and you will get a experiment record that's kind of like almost like a little electronic lab notebook record, because everything has a timestamp and you'll be able to track back what you did on that exact date. And then if you saved the experiment, it will be saved in your library, which is up here. If you want to create a new protocol for yourself, you can do that by clicking New Protocol with this little plus icon here. And that brings you to our editor. And so here you have the option to just add a whole bunch of different details to your protocol, like a title and an abstract, to just put your protocol in context so the reader knows what this protocol is all about. And then you can put keywords. The keywords are important for also to find your protocol easily, and you can put guidelines and warnings, materials. So it's really, you can add a lot of details. And then the most important part is the steps. And so for the steps, it's important that you just really make the steps as easy as possible. So like really try to break up your protocol as much as you can, so that it's really easy to follow step by step. And then you can also create sections. So if there's different sections that you can break it up to, you can do that. And you just have a lot of components on the right-hand side here that you can work with, such as like amounts or timers, temperatures. And there's also some computational components that you can use. So there's a lot you can do to make your protocol more like easier to follow. And you can also add, if you have any pictures of your experiment set up, or any videos, or really anything, you can add that all here too. And then once you're ready with it, you can click View, and that brings you out of the edit mode. It brings you to the view mode. So this is how others will see your protocol. And this is how it looks like. And then when you want to include a DOI for this protocol, but don't want to make it public yet. So if you want to include a DOI for this protocol in your publication, in your manuscript, you can get a DOI only. What that means is it only gets a DOI, but people who have the DOI can only view it. So people who search for the protocol on the website will not be able to find it yet. So this is if you are submitting your paper to the journal, and like it's just for the reviewer to see the protocol, but you don't want to have everybody access to it yet. You can get a DOI, or if you're ready to fully publish it, you can click publish, and that will lead you through our publishing flow. So you add who's the authors and what's the status of your protocol. Are you working on it? Is it working well? Are you developing that or anything other? And then you select if that's a research protocol, and you can associate it with groups here. So if you have a group, for example, for your lab or something, you can add that here. And then when you're ready, you click publish, and that will give you a DOI for your protocol, and you have a public protocol. So it's very easy and just a couple steps. And then, so to keep all your protocols organized, or like really your main space to work in, is something called My Library. So if you click on My Library, this is like your file manager space. So you have like a folder where all your files get stored right away when you create something. And then you have a folder with all your bookmark protocols. And if somebody shares something with you, you can find it in the shared with me folder. And then also each group that you're part of has a folder. So if somebody shares something with the group, you will find it here. And so in this file manager, it's really important to note that not only can you store all the protocols and experiment runs here, but you can really store any files at all. So if you have any presentations or any Excel sheets or Word documents that you would like to store here, you can just drop them in here and you have it in one space. And yeah, it's really easy. Or if you have something that you want to take from Dropbox, you can add it directly to here too. And you can just do that by clicking new here. And that allows you to just upload anything you want, and you can create new folders and just organize it the way that you like it. And that was it for the quick introduction. And now if anybody has any questions, please feel free to either unmute yourself or just type out your question in the little chat window. Okay, so somebody has a question, Carolina. She asks, when you make a protocol, is it possible to add in a conversion calculator or other calculators into the protocol itself, like you can with timers? That's a very good question. And so right now there's not a calculator, but so if you add the amounts, so for example, if you say you need 200 milliliters of one reagent, and if you run the protocol, you have the ability to scale it. So if you say, oh, I want to make this buffer, but I want to make 3 times the amount, you can just say scale by 3, and then it will tell you that you need 600 milliliters, for example. So that's a functionality we have. But other calculators, we might have it in the future. Any other questions? If you have any questions, you can also unmute yourself. When you add a software used in your protocol, how can this software be public and used by others? So when you add a software, you usually add all the links to it. I'm not sure I understand the question right. Lenny, do you want to answer this?
So it is a good question. We don't mean to replace GitHub or Jupyter Notebooks. So for the computational protocols, the intention is that protocols IO is more to capture the workflow so that you can say we ran the following script and you would still link to GitHub. So we have software and dataset components, and so you would link to the code and the platform that you used or the tool that you used for the analysis, and just describe what is the pipeline for doing that analysis on protocols IO. But you can also, if you're not putting it on GitHub, you can also attach script files to any individual step. You can just upload it right into there, and that will be presented along with the step itself or on protocol level. So you have different options for how to report computational steps.
Any other questions by anybody? How do you make tables in protocols? Let me see if I can share this real quick. So if you make a new protocol, I'm just gonna do a quick example protocol here. You can add a table in any, either here in the abstract or also in the steps. It's the same. It looks like the same tools here. You can click on this little icon here, and then you can make a table. So you can select however big you want it. So if you do, for example, 3 by 3, you can just click here, and this adds a table, and then you can add whatever details into the table you want here. So this is the icon to go with. It's right here. Does this answer your question? I guess so. If it's a big table, how big is big? So you can do however big you want here, really. But if it's too big, you can also, so if you have, for example, if you have an Excel sheet that has like a lot of content, you can also just attach a file. So if you do that, for example, if you have a table that maybe people should rather download, if it's a big thing, you can attach file here, and you can select whatever, like your Excel file, and then you can just add it here. So for example, if I do this, it will be uploading, and then it will show up here, and people can download it from there. So this is how it would look like, but this could also be a table. Okay, I think that answers the question. Okay, so I'm gonna stick around for a couple more minutes in case somebody else has more questions. But then if you don't have any more questions, just feel free to hop off. And if you have any questions later, please always feel free to just send me an email at anita@protocols.io, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you all for your time today.